6 years ago, my wife and I were on a cross-country road trip to visit family for a big gathering. Since we had a lot of extra time, we decided to drive so we can stop in cities we liked, and to be honest, it sounded like a great idea. For the first day, we drove really long hours, probably 8 or 9, and since it was night, we decided to continue next day. The second day, we wanted to cover more ground, so we drove later into the night. Around 11 p.m., we got off the freeway and continued on a quiet highway with woods on both sides. We only saw a few cars passing by, and that's about it. Then, 20 minutes later, we saw a man standing in the middle of the road and waving his hands. I got scared for a bit. I'm not gonna lie. As I slammed on my brakes, I noticed that it was an old man, probably in his 70s, and as it seemed, he needed some help. I stopped, and he approached my window. I opened it slightly just so I can hear him. He looked really worried and told his car run out of gas as he was trying to get home. He asked me if I could give him a ride, saying his house is just a few miles away. At first I thought, there's no way I'm driving some stranger, but my wife convinced me to help him, and to be honest, he seemed like a regular old man, nothing odd about him. I told him to get in the back, and he thanked us like 10 times. He briefly explained where his house is located, mentioning that there's some gas that he can use for his car. I think we drove for about a mile before taking an exit into a quiet and wooded road. About 2 minutes later, he asked us to turn into what looked like a driveway. I asked if this was the location. He said yes, but requested to drive further up. The road was getting more narrower, and trees started to block our view. Now I was starting to feel nervous, and my wife didn't say a word. The road opened up into a clearing, and the man said we could drop him off there. As soon as he got out of a car, I could notice movement in the woods behind us. As I turned around to look forward, I saw more figures appearing. My heart was racing. I floored the gas and threw it into reverse, not even sure what those things are. My wife started to scream as a couple of men started to run towards us. I sped backward down into the driveway, and they were throwing something at my car and even hit it a few times. I was driving really fast before we were back on Main Road. Both of us were in shock. I couldn't figure out what was that all about, but I know one thing for sure. I'm never driving strangers. "12 years ago, I was driving from Pennsylvania to Georgia to visit my family. Even though the drive was supposed to be really long, I still decided to do it all in one day. I think I left at about 10 a.m., stopping only once to buy some food, and again a few hours later at rest area to eat some sandwiches. After that, I had no plan of stopping. At 11:30 p.m., I filled up my tank, and since I was really tired, I decided to grab some coffee at a gas station. My GPS was leading me to some weird, unfamiliar roads. I was not on the highway anymore. Since I was driving my truck, I had a good view of the road ahead. Right now, I was really tired. I knew I shouldn't continue my drive, but I was really close to my cousin's house. As I was driving, the road was getting more narrower and darker, with nothing but woods on both sides. I was driving pretty fast, but I thought there shouldn't be any car at this time, especially at this location. Then, all of a sudden, I noticed 4 shining objects in front of me, and I slammed on the brakes. As I looked closer, there were 4 traffic drums. I decided to get out of my truck and see what is going on here. As I walked out, I've heard someone scream for help in the woods. When I turned left, I saw 2 men approaching my truck. They were hiding in the bushes. It looked like they didn't notice me. I tried to stay calm in this situation and slowly walked back to my truck, went in, and locked all doors. I looked again and saw those same men approaching me. I quickly drove off, flooring my gas pedal. Looking at my rearview mirror, I saw at least 3 figures standing by the traffic drums. Now I figured out what was going on. I was safe now, but I was still feeling stressed from that situation. Thankfully, I was unharmed. I hope I don't experience anything like this. A few weeks ago, I've had a friend's wedding, and because it was really far away, about a 10-hour drive, I decided to make it a road trip instead of flying and paying for flight, which was expensive for me. I left very early in the morning and spent most of the day driving, and along the way visited some places. Since I was really tired, I decided to find a hotel, and I pulled off the freeway to find some gas station and refill my tank and check if there are some hotels nearby. I drove around 2 or 3 miles down a quiet road. I finally spotted a gas station. Eventually, I reached some small and isolated gas station. Once I was finished filling up my tank, I looked up some near hotels on my phone app, but unfortunately, I had no service. Also, the gas station was empty. There was no one here. I decided to head back on freeway and continue my drive until I got signal. As I left gas station, the road didn't seem familiar anymore. I thought maybe I turned too soon or missed an exit. But since it's pitch dark outside and had no service, I couldn't check if this was the right road. I continued to drive, and a few minutes later I saw a sign for the exit that I was looking for. I felt much better, instantly. As I got closer, I saw a detour sign and a truck with flashing lights. Apparently, some road construction was happening, forcing me to turn right instead of going straight. Even though I was pretty annoyed, I decided to follow the detour sign. I guess it wouldn't take too long. But after driving for a while, I saw another detour sign, which then led me to a darker and narrower road. Now, I was lost. I continued for a minute before the road ended in a dead end, with only woods ahead. I was shocked for a bit. I immediately stopped and checked my phone, and of course there was still no signal. I was starting to get really scared. As I started to turn my car around, I saw a few men emerging from the woods and walking towards me. They looked middle-aged, and they may have guns. With no hesitation, I floored the gas pedal and drove away. As I was going, I've heard someone trying to open my rear driver's side door. Thanks to God, I managed to get away without hearing any shots, but I saw someone was chasing after me. I kept driving, trying to get on the road. When I passed the original detour sign, it was gone. Later, I found the gas station and continued my drive till I finally got onto a freeway again. Finally, I got my signal back and booked a hotel. That has to be the scariest experience I've ever had. I hope I don't witness anything similar again.